Welcome to the Instagram stories for Monday, April 10th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. Let's get right into the questions from the head of Instagram's Ask Me Anything. The first question, what feature is doing best on Instagram? This is a really good one. This isn't the feature that he likes best, rather the feature that is performing the best.
It depends on how you measure best. The thing that most people spend the most time in is feed, but that's different for teens. I think that's actually DMs at this point. In general, though, the thing that I've been the most impressed with that's recent is notes. It is immensely popular, particularly with young people. And it's just kind of fun to see people find a new way to express themselves and be creative on Instagram.
I have to say I'm a little bit surprised about the popularity of notes still at this point, because none of the people that I follow use notes. I would say out of the around 500 people that I follow, maybe 3 use notes regularly. So I'm very surprised by this, but hey, that's just based on my experience, and I do not follow too many teenagers because I'm friends with people who are my age. Okay, next question. Will featured stories be able to change from visible to my friends to public? I'm just going to explain, I think, a little bit of context on that question. It sounds like the person is private, but they're looking for a way to be able to share stories more publicly. That's, I think, the gist of what they're going for.
A general rule we try to stick to is to make sure that if you're a private account, there is no way to unintentionally or intentionally open up your privacy to a broader group, because that's sort of the baseline level of safety that you're setting, and we want to keep the privacy model simple.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I see the logic of that, especially if you've already chosen to be private. By default, that means you don't want people to see your content. So finding a way to share it more publicly, I think, is just create a very confusing experience. Next question is all about page insights, which are the analytics that are inside the Instagram app. What are the most important part of page insights to look at? Good question.
I would say reach. I think reach is a good indication of how well you're doing on the platform. Also, in general, you should be looking at, how many likes you get per follower, how many likes you get per reach. These sort of ratios are a little bit more important than something like your follower count. You could have a ton of followers who don't even use Instagram anymore. That's not particularly useful. Whereas if a lot of the people who see your photo or your video actually like it, that's a pretty strong signal that you're creating something engaging.
And that leads to the question, how do you get more reach? What's the best thing to do to get more reach?
As I say all the time, every audience is different, so there's no one best thing. The best broad practice, though, is to experiment, to try things, because that's how you figure out what your audience is interested in. That's also how you figure out how their interests change, which they will change over time. As the world changes, that's how people communicate and how people entertain themselves change as well.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about bonuses and other ways to make money on Instagram, so stick around.
This episode is brought to you by Michigan Economic Development Corporation. In Michigan, you can have both a rewarding career and a quality lifestyle, with plentiful career opportunities in world-changing, innovating industries, from electric vehicles to clean energy to biotech, with room for advancement no matter where you are in your career. Plus, Michigan offers a welcoming, beautiful, affordable, and inclusive community for all. Live your best life. You can in Michigan. Visit themichiganlife.org.
And we're back. Okay, let's continue with the questions. Next question, what was wrong with bonuses? I suspect that bonuses resulted in Instagram having to pay out too much money. So here's his answer.
Nothing's wrong with bonuses, but for bonuses to be sustainable, they need to be ROI positive. That means that we need to make more money from bonuses than we put into bonuses, and that's not yet the case. So what we're doing is we're continuing to test and change it to try to get to that ROI positive milestone. And once we do, then we'll be able to scale it in a sustainable way.
I really do not understand the answer to that question. Instagram is making so much money from ads. How could it not be ROI positive? I truly, truly do not understand that. Okay, let's continue with the questions. What are the main ways you help creators to make money?
The biggest way creators make money by the dollars on Instagram is branded content. And we're trying to help creators find brands and help brands find creators through the creator marketplace. But there are other ways to make money too. We are experimenting with bonuses, as I just talked about. We're also experimenting with rev share in a couple of different places. But I actually really like ways for fans to pay creators directly, like subscriptions, and we're also exploring digital gifts right now.
I think it's very telling that he likes the way that doesn't cost Instagram any money because Instagram doesn't pay creators out of its own pocket, but rather fans pay creators out of their own pockets. I don't know. I'm still not on board with that. Next question. How many stories is too many stories to post per day? From a technical limitation, it's 100 stories, but obviously from practicality, that's a very different answer.
No silver bullet here. I think some people have found a lot of success in posting tons and tons and tons of stories. I've seen Eva Chen post upwards of dozens or even 100 sometimes. In general, though, just be considerate of making it easy for people to tap through their own stories. So I try to just do a couple a day.
Honestly, I haven't been using stories that much lately. I feel like stories were so cool in 2016 to 2018. And by 2019, I wasn't really that interested. And then since then, I've completely lost any interest in stories. But that's just me. Maybe I'll come back around to it at some point. I like a nostalgia thing. The way point and shoot cameras are really big right now. Who knows? Let's go on to the next question, which is all about collections. Now, you can save things into collections, which you can now share with other people, called collaborative collections. An example of that would be places you want to go when you're on a trip that you're going on with friends. You mark the restaurants that you want to go to and you put those in a collaborative collection. That's an example. The question is, how do I use collaborative collections?
So collaborative collections I've been excited about for a while. The way it works is when you save something, it'll be asked if you want to create a new collection and you can make it collaborative. And if it's collaborative, you can add people to it and it'll show up in your direct thread with them. So try them out. Let me know what you think.
And the last question we're going to talk about today, any plans to change the notifications? We need more filter options. This is talking about the notifications tab within Instagram, not the notifications settings that you get on your phone whenever someone sends you a DM or something like that. This is referring to just the in-app section that shows you likes and comments.
This is definitely something that we need to figure out. Notifications work pretty well if you're a normal user, but if you have a lot of followers, it just gets overwhelming. The activity tab just becomes borderline useless. So more filter options, but we have to figure out other ways to clean it up as well.
I will, of course, keep you posted on that as it develops. That's it for today's episode. I would like to do tomorrow's episode all about the new TikTok app called Lemonade. Perhaps you're familiar with it. Perhaps you signed up for an account already. I have not had a chance to dive into it, but I would like to in preparation for this episode. So be sure to come back for that. Thanks so much for listening.
Instagram news got you covered, sometimes even TikTok. Relevant platforms in the metaverse ahead of the wave. Without a break or a pit stop, still waiting for Zuckerberg to give me the big job. Pause. Use trademarks and logos with Insta's permission, of course. If you like the show and gain some good info, maybe leave a review. It's a type of applause. Just drop me a message if you want to collab. If you've got some good content or you want to run ads, at Daniel Hill Media is where I am. TikTok, Facebook and Instagram.